Hello everyone. The topic for Friday's lecture is going to be error handling. Before I dive into this topic, I just want to quickly remind you to go fill out the exam 2 conflict form by tomorrow if you cannot at all attend the exam during the provided 24-hour window period. By now, all of you should have encountered some error or the other while trying to write code for CS220 projects, correct? The focus of today's lecture is going to be to take those errors and to provide meaningful messages to the users who are running your program, be it yourself or be it somebody else. The first learning objective listed here is ironically stating how to make your program crash more. So all of you might be wondering, is she kidding me? Why exactly would I want my program to crash more? Turns out crashing is not the worst thing that could happen to your program. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you're trying to solve a particular question for one of the projects. You've nailed your pseudocode down, you have all the steps written out clearly, and you write all the lines of code to convert your pseudocode into an actual program. And then finally you run your program and the program gives you a wrong result when compared to the test.py result. That's really sad, right? Now you have a semantic error. Those are the scariest of all the kinds of errors. Let's do a quick recap of the types of errors that we have discussed. The first type of error is called as syntax error. Syntax errors are no starters, correct? You cannot even run your program when your code has a syntax error. The second kind of errors are runtime errors. Let's say that you have a division by zero somewhere in the middle of your program, or one of your data structure access of a particular index is not working. Those kind of errors are runtime errors. Your program will crash for both of these kind of errors, whereas the third category of errors, which is the semantic error, is really difficult for you to debug because you have a bug in your logic itself and not inside your program as such. In today's lecture, we are going to learn about 4 new keywords, which are assert, try, accept, and raise. These are all going to enable us to display meaningful messages to the user of the program. Throughout the lecture, we are going to use a program called pizza.py, and we are going to analyze the pizza by creating slices of pizza. Let me give you a quick history about how the term bug was coined. I hope some of you know who the person on the right hand side here is. Her name is Grace Hopper. She was an American scientist who coined the term bug. You wouldn't believe how they came up with the term bug. The very first computer bug was an actual moth that she discovered inside the computer. So that's how the term bug came into computer science. Of course, that's not the only thing Grace Hopper is famous for. She's also famous for developing the first ever compiler, which was back then called as a compiler. Right now it's called as a linker. She's a very fascinating person and a great role model for all the female students who want to become computer scientists. I hope some of you will go check out her Wikipedia page to know more about her, and I do hope you feel the inspiration just like I did by learning about her history. Let me talk about the Pizza Analyzer program. So I'm going to quickly show you how to download the program. So if you go to the course website and go to today's lectures link, there is a link to the code and you should be able to download pizza.py from the GitHub link. I already have downloaded the program. You will need to use the idle editor to open the program and to edit it, and you'll need the terminal or your PowerShell window to run the program. I have both of those set up here. So here is my program and here is my terminal window. Let me make a suggestion at this point. You have an exam coming up in just another few days. So if you want to get experience for reading code, I would strongly recommend you to pause the lecture video here and go read pizza.py on your own and try to understand what that program is doing. Once you're done going through the program, come back and watch the rest of the video lecture. I'm going to show you how to run the pizza.py program before we go ahead and talk about the actual program lines of code. So I'm going to say python 3 pizza.py. Notice that I'm getting a prompt for entering pizza diameter and slice count. Let's make the first set of inputs really simple. I'm going to say my pizza diameter is going to be 4 and my slice count is also going to be 4. So this program is going to output the area of each of those slices. How are we going to do that? We are going to first compute the area of the pizza. That's very easy, right? I have the diameter here. Area of the pizza is going to be pi r squared. So that's going to be pi into d divided by 2, the whole squared, correct? So my diameter is 4. So pi r squared is simply going to be pi into 2 squared, which is nothing but 4. So my area of the pizza is going to be 4 pi. How many slices do I want? I have 4. I want 4 slices. So which means that each of the slices is going to have an area of pi, correct? So notice that the program is outputting 3.14 as the slice square inch area. So it seems to be working. Let me show you one more input here. 4-inch diameter pizza is really small. So let's try out the 10-inch diameter pizza and let's make 8 slices out of it. Looks like we will get 9.8 inches for every slice that we make out of the 10-inch pizza. Alright, let's go through the program itself. I have 3 functions. I am calling the main function way down here. What am I doing inside the main function? I have a for loop which runs from 0 through 9, correct? Notice that I have the range function call here. So my for loop is trying to iterate over the integers 0 to 9. Why 9? The end argument to range function is exclusive. What am I doing then? I'm getting input from the user by calling the built-in function input. Let me ask you a quick quiz question here. What do you think the type of the variable args is? Go ahead and pause the lecture video and write your answer as a comment. If you are thinking args is of type string, then you had the correct answer. What am I doing in the next line? I'm saying arg.split by comma. What would be the type of args after we are done running this particular line? Again, leave a comment stating your answer. So if you are thinking args is going to be of type list after this line, then you have the correct answer. Why is that the case? Recall that the split method call enables us to split a particular string value into a list of strings based on the separator that we want to split by. So we are passing 2 values as user input separated by a comma, and we are going to split those as individual items into the args list over here. What are we doing next? I'm taking the item in index position 0 and I'm converting that into a float, and then I'm dividing that by 2 so I get the radius out of it. The next value, I'm just converting that into an integer because slice count is meant to be an integer in general. Then I'm calling the slice underscore size function with 2 arguments. What is the slice underscore size function doing? It's calling the pizza underscore size function, which returns the area of the pizza circle, which is nothing but pi r squared. Recall that the math module has the variable called pi, which you can access to get the value of pi. What are we doing next in slice underscore size? I'm just dividing the total area by slice count by saying total size into 1 divided by slice count over here. That's just going to give the area of each of those slices, correct? Then what are we doing in the main function? I'm just displaying the details about the pizza and its slices. Recall that the format method call enables you to add a particular value into your string where you have placeholders as part of the string. So I have a string here and I have three placeholders mentioned within the curly braces, and I'm going to put the radius into the first placeholder, slices into the next, size of each of the slices into the last placeholder, and that's how we are getting this display that is coming after we provide user input, correct? Alright, now that we are done going through this particular program, I want you to go ahead and pause the lecture video here and think about the kind of buggy inputs that you can provide for pizza.py in order to make it crash. Once you're done coming up with a list, go ahead and try each of those buggy inputs on your version of pizza.py. After that, come back and watch the rest of the lecture video. See if I have represented your buggy input in my list of bugs. If not, leave a comment on the comment section stating what other buggy input we can possibly try to make pizza.py over here crash. I hope that I am able to cover all of the buggy inputs, but it could definitely be possible that 800 other students are able to come up with different and new bugs that I have not been able to think of. All right, so I'm going to categorize my bugs into two class of errors, which are the runtime errors and the semantic errors. Recall that since our program is running, our program doesn't have any syntax errors, so we are good with that category of errors. So let me show you a few examples of runtime errors over here. So the first error that I want to show you is I want to pass 0 as the value for slice count. So that's going to throw a 0 division error. Where is this error happening? Line number 8. Line number 8 is this one over here. Why is that the case? We are dividing some value by slice underscore count. Slice underscore count is 0. So you're going to get 0 division error. And you can follow the stack trace from the beginning to reach that particular line. So for instance, it's saying your problem is in line number 23. So that's going to be this line, this line over here, which is calling the main function. And then you have a problem in line number 19 within the main function, which is going to be this line over here. And then you have a problem in line number 8, which is going to be this line over here. This is going to be one example of a runtime error. Let me show you a few other examples. Let me show you how you can provide an invalid input totally other than just giving 0 slice count. Let's say that instead of integer values, I say that my slice count is hello. That doesn't really make any sense. So my program is going to crash saying that I have a value error. What is a value error? That's going to be the error that you get in line number 16 over here. When you're trying to convert the second value into an integer, Python cannot convert hello into an integer. Let me show you one more value error. So instead of using integer value, let's say that I'm using a floating point value. That's again going to cause a value error in the exact same line. One more kind of runtime error that you might be able to encounter is you can just not mention the second value at all. So that's just going to cause an index error. Where is the index error going to come from? It's again going to come from line number 16, right? Why is that the case? So we are passing some value to args over here, and then we are splitting args by comma, correct? Why is that not causing a problem? That's because when your string doesn't have your delimiter at all, Python doesn't really care about that. It will just give you a list of one item. So when you have no commas, you'll get a list of one item. If you have one comma, you'll get a list of two items and so on. So this line won't be a problem. What would be a problem is when we try to access args of 1 over here, because we only have one item in our args list. You'll get an index error when you try to access a non-existent index over here. So Let me just show you one more input here. Instead of just giving 10 comma 8, I can give a bunch of spaces and then a comma, bunch of spaces and then 8 and then a few more spaces. That will still make the program work. Couple of reasons for that. One is that I'm using the strip method call to ensure that I cut off all the unnecessary white spaces before and after the actual value inside my input. Another reason is because Python, functions float and integers are really well built. They themselves can handle additional spaces actually. Since I wanted to make it explicit to the user that I'm actually stripping off white spaces, I'm just calling the strip method call over here. So those are all the runtime errors that I want to go through. If you're able to find more, please leave a comment. Let me talk about semantic errors. Runtime errors aren't that scary. That's because your program is crashing, correct, when you're encountering them. But semantic errors, on the other hand, are really scary. And I'm going to give you two examples of semantic errors here. So let's say that my slice count is negative here. Instead of saying 8, I'm going to say minus 8. What's going to happen then? I'm going to get negative pizza, right? That's not a thing. We know that as humans, but this particular program doesn't know that. So it's just going ahead and giving negative area of slice as the value coming out of that computation. Why is that the case? You're dividing total size by slice count. Slice count is negative, so you're going to get negative area for each of those slices. This is at least okay because somebody who's running this program can actually see that they got a negative slice area and they can recognize that they gave a bad input. The scariest of all the errors is going to be the next one. What if I have negative diameter? What do you think will happen then? Notice that we are getting positive area for the slice over here, and it's giving the correct area of the slice which you should have gotten if the diameter is 10. Why is that the case? What are we doing with the diameter? We are computing radius and then I am squaring the radius. So even if you have a negative value, your program is just going to completely ignore that and it will just go ahead and run the whole program for you. So this definitely is the most scariest input because the user has no notion that they are trying to divide up a negative pizza, correct? Alright, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this lecture video here. In the next lecture video, I'll talk about how you can handle all of these errors in a better way to provide meaningful information to the user.